Welcome to Hollywood Deli. I'm your host, Blue. So listen, it's been a minute. It has been a minute since I've been on here, but I've been watching Sister Wives, and I haven't really been eager to cover them. But last night was not episode two, but Tell All Part Two. And so I'm skipping the other ones because I didn't feel like there was really any meat to those potatoes. But whatever. That episode was I was so like gaslit by Robin. I was just screaming at the TV. She was pissing me off. Robin always pisses me off. So I want to start with Sister Wife, but by Sister Wife, but Robin wasn't the only Sister Wife that was pissing me off. The Sister Wife that pissed me off the most was Janelle. Janelle pissed me off, and here's the reason why Janelle pissed me off. You leave us on a cliffhanger, and you tell us, it's his ego. You really don't like them. You don't want to know them, but you won't tell us why you don't want to know them. Why don't you like them? Suki tried her hardest to get Janelle to pinpoint exact reasons why she doesn't like them. To just say a blanket statement like that, and you're on a reality show and not want to give the details, it was pissing me off. And then I was proud of Mary because Mary was like, she's happy with her decision. She doesn't regret her decision because before we saw there was some ambivalence when Mary got pushed out of the family. She really wanted to try to make it work. And she kept saying in previous tell-alls that it didn't have to be like this. In previous episodes, we could have worked it out, blah, blah, blah. And now I see why Robin was so confused as to why Cody and Mary couldn't work it out because he was giving her mixed signals too. Because he would do things like they talked about the crying scene, and that was the biggest thing. I'm not going to cover the whole tell all, I'm just going to cover the things that stood out to me. The crying scene. And she said he talked to her about it, and she was confused as to if this was such a strong emotion, why can't you get this thing figured out with her? Why can't you work it out? And he was just like, it's the nostalgia, the end of an era. What it was is he was being performative, he was being manipulative, and this is the thing ladies have to watch out for. When a man knows that you want to be with him more than he wants to be with you, he will play on your feelings. And that's what we watch. Him play on her feelings. Because then Mary dropped the bombshell that not only after the fact of that taping, he called her on the phone and told her just recently that he was still struggling with the loss of the relationship. He's still grieving the loss of the marriage, and she told him flat out, you don't get to tell me that. You don't get to tell me that she said you can grieve, but you don't get to bring it to me. No, because she knew what he was doing. He was playing with her feelings. And I love Christine this time. Christine clocked it. Christine said those what we're seeing is the head games, the manipulation, the using of people that he's displaying in that crying scene. That's the games that he would play with us. And that's what he was doing to her and Mary, and she's just happy that she was able to get past that because she said it was difficult to leave because when someone's sending you mixed signals like that and you love them and they playing with your feelings, they will do those kind of things to you. And that's why it took them so long to leave because he would send them mixed signals. And Robin should have her feelers up and she should have her antennas up because when she gets past what he considers beautiful, because at one point the wives were more attractive, and as you get older you lose the beauty, and she should be paranoid for when she loses the beauty that he sees because he was so disgusting in the last tell off where he was like looking at her pic, well, not even looking at the picture, thinking about the picture of when Robin had a tan and was looking more lively, and how he said her makeup was so great that he wanted to just lick her. It was just like so cringy. She should be really paying attention to her future because they were with him for 16 years. Robin, you're approaching that 16 years. I think you're like 13 or something like that. You should be wondering, will he get tired of you? Hence the reason why she put that agreement in. Remember, if you don't want me anymore, don't lead me on. Just tell me. Robin, you have seen this man lead on three different women. He's not going to tell you. You should definitely have your guard up. I think that was a big reason why she put her fangs into the legal marriage because she knew that with the legal marriage, that gave her some protection. And I love how in this tell all, Janelle talked about how Cody always seems to get the upper hand in all the deals. And it's because you guys let him do that. You didn't protect yourselves. You saw the manipulation happening with him moving money from the family account. He closed down the bank account. That should have been your red flag right there. But you didn't protect yourselves. And so this is why he's ending up with the upper hand. But there's always karma attached to um, thievery. The one thing I liked, I'm going to pull from Tell All Part 1, was that Janelle said that she doesn't think Cody is sophisticated enough to be so manipulative and you know sneaky. Like she doesn't think he was able to pull this off by himself. And I wanted to say, sis, I don't agree with that. I believe that he has been groomed underneath Robin for years, and that her manipulative ways and her whispering in his ear has rubbed off on him. The Cody that you knew is not the Cody that you know today. And she even said that she never remembers him being this mean. And I'm like, girl, he was always mean. You watch that man call your sister wife, Christine, who's your buddy buddy, a disgusting pig, and he put it in writing. He put it in your book. So don't tell me that you didn't know um, that he, I'm not that you didn't know, but that you don't remember him being this mean. That's a lot of revision of history, you know. And one of the things Cody said, I'm going back and forth between the tell all one and two. So this is part of the tell all one. He said that how what he knew that he had this divine love with Robin and that he wanted to bring the other marriages up. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. What you did was you treated your favorite wife, the one you had divine love with, better the other sister wives, and you did it blatantly and it was obvious. And then when they called you out on it, you acted like they were just being jealous and that it was not real. And what you did was hide it, just like Christine said. She said that she believed, this is from Christine, she believed in part one of the tell all, that she believed that Cody and Robin had a romance, um, a love story from the very beginning, and that they just spent all those years hiding it from everyone else. And they didn't do a good job because it was obvious. And then when COVID hit, that was his the best excuse. Let's make these ridiculous rules, push them out, and if they don't follow them, I could just say, "Well, you're not following my rules. Let me go over to be with Robin. It's your faults that I'm over with Robin's." It's like what Janelle said in part one of the tell all. She said, oh, it's easy for him to revision of history when he says, "Oh, I wanted to bring the other wives up, but they just wouldn't come along." And it was just complete bullshit. And then what pisses me off about Cody in this tell all part two was how he doesn't want them talking about him. I'm like, you're on a reality show, you're gonna talk. And he's all like how he was relieved when Christine finally found someone and that he was hoping that she wouldn't talk about him if she's in love. And it's like, no, yes, she's going to be in love, but she's going to talk about all the thievery that happened and how you manipulated and used them and you took all the goddamn money. Yes, they need to talk about that. You're not going to get off scot free and get to ride off in the sunset with your shopping queen, your one and only pretty wife. No, you're not going to do that. And Janelle, in regards to this failure thing of a polygamist, he don't give a shit about that. He doesn't care that he's a failure as a polygamist. That's why he pushed all you guys out. He didn't care. He wanted to take the money. He got enough money, and he wanted to ride off in the sunset with his favorite wife. That's what it was. And so, what pissed me off about Robin was how she was just allowed to not answer any questions really, and always say, "I don't care, I don't care." And Moo when she to the comment about Janelle, we got to see the arrogant bitch. She dropped her mask. That Moo was like, "Boo hoo hoo! I got all your money. Say what you want." That attitude, that aura that she's giving us. Robin's proud of what she did. But what really triggered me with Robin was when she talked about co-parenting and how she when she watched the clip of Christine talking about how disruptive it was that Robin and Cody decided to come to Gwen's bridal shower last minute. And she said, "Well, we're going to be in each other's lives. That's just how it's going to be." And it's like, Robin, please spare me. What are you talking about? That's how it's going to be. You completely alienated your first set of kids, your first three kids, their father. You threatened him with child support and to harass him, and that's why he just finally said fuck it and signed them over to Cody and you. You don't know what it's like to co-parent because you alienated the parent of your first three kids. So don't sit here and act like you are just some she just giving me this martyr type vibe that Mary's like to do sometimes. Mary, let's talk about Mary. So Cody once again in part one brings up the catfishing as the reason and for the split between him and Mary, and that wasn't even it. The point is he's trying to say that was the end of the marriage. No, it wasn't. Christine clocked in and said he abandoned Mary, he abandoned me, he abandoned all of us. And he tried to paint in part one, he tried to paint Mary as some psychopath, this crazy woman that he couldn't break up with. And then he tries to say that she was giggling in the room. This is from part one, giggling in the room on the phone with the catfish, and he had to listen to it, and he was refusing to leave the house. Bullshit. I don't believe for 2 seconds that he sat and listened to that giggling and didn't leave and go to Robin's house. There's no way, or at least confront her about it. There's no way. And one, here's the thing: he's mad that she went to the church and got the abandonment because they were hoping that once the show was over, they could go back and collect some worker wives and live off of them. That's what they were thinking, him and Robin. But she spoiled that for him, and now he's wanting us to believe that him and Mary are the best of friends. And it's like Mary's like, look, we're cordial, but I don't want him walking me down the aisle like he said it. I don't want him, in my life in that way. And he is toxic. That's why she doesn't want it. But what really, grinds my gears about Cody here is the lack of accountability and want everybody to take accountability for his failure as a polygamous husband. He said it's a shared failure. And to a degree, it is because they didn't set boundaries for you. And he talked about a lot in part one about self-respect and how the other sister wives didn't have self-respect and Robin did, and that she communicated with him and she negotiated with him, and that's why they stuck and that's why things worked out for them. And it's like, dude, if you would have respected them, this wouldn't have happened. So
So
hold on,
back
y'all, I
to
gotta go.
self-respect. He said that if they had self-respect, that was one of the things that would have helped their relationship. And I agree. If they had self respect and made some boundaries and not been doormats and let him walk all over him, he would have respected him. The difference between the other sister wives and Robin is Robin came in and made him respect her. And how did he do that? She, one, did the damsel in distress. She played on his ego. She knew that he had a hero complex and he wanted to feel wanted and needed. And so she did that. And then she was able to use her physical physique to draw him in. And then she was able to establish the boundaries and tell him what she wanted. And he agreed to everything she wanted because they had a lot of negotiation that happened. But the one thing that one of a content creator has said, Pop Psych, was that the self respect comment he thought was about the way that the sister wives looked. Because you remember when Robin came in, she was skinny as ever. She's not skinny anymore. And they were so out of shape and, had all these babies back to back, didn't take care of themselves. And so I think that was part of the self respect because he is very into looks. And so I think his fake effort to get them to bring them up with Robin was when remember that episode when they all went to the gym and had like a personal trainer. I didn't finish it watching it, but everybody was supposed to try to get into shape, blah blah blah. I think that was just like one of his fake attempts to document that he tried to bring them up to Robin's standards. And he wanted a prissy woman. He wanted a woman that was into their makeup, into their looks, and the other sister wives were more focused on the family and focused on keeping it running and making sure all the kids ate, and they weren't focused on their beauty. And he didn't like that. Instead of like flat out telling them that, he went and replaced them with Robin. He finally found what he finally attracted what he liked because He was broke as hell before. No way Miss Robin would go from a trailer to another trailer. And so he became attracted to her because of what he had and potentially could have. But what I didn't like was Janelle giving Robin all this credit and saying that initially when she was came into the family, she was very much a part of what they were trying to build. And I'm like, y'all thought that. Yeah, at the time it looked like that. But over time y'all saw that the succubus was trying to make a piece of separated life for herself. Robin had an end game, okay? Robin had an end game. She was not going to be stuck with these women forever. And she was going to leave with the majority. And so she positioned herself in that way. And so much so, she did whatever lying she needed to do. Because the conversation, and this is from part one, because I'm going to go back and forth, because those, since I didn't do a one review of the tell all, I'm going to do two, one and two together. So this is part one where Robin was planting the seeds and the whole adoption and legal marriage came up. And Robin said that she never talked about it. And then Christine, they clicked to Christine, and Christine said she talked about it a lot throughout the years about how a husband would divorce the legal wife to marry another wife, and how it was such a beautiful thing. And it was just she. And Robin said how she knew so many people that did it. Da 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 da. Then she's saying to Suki that she never talked about it. She don't know what Christine's talking about. And then Suki, I love when Suki said, "Well, Christine said she remembers you talking about it throughout the years." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever, whatever." And then starts laughing and smiling because she got caught in another lie. And then she finally remembered, "Oh, well, I did. We all heard of it because Cody's dad did it." And it's like Cody's dad might have done it, but it wasn't for the same reason as you. You used those kids to get that legal marriage. You manipulated the family, feeling sorry for you, and made a fake fear that the kids was going to leave you and go with their dad, and that you didn't want it to happen, and that you wanted the family to have, rights to the child, and you guys it as, look, if something happens to me, he could just take the kids from you guys, and I don't want that to happen. She put a lot of fear in this family and put a lot of pressure on them to do things that they normally wouldn't do. And she duped them. She duped Mary, Janelle, and Christine. I blame them all for this because Christine is the one who had the most insight to see that what Robin was doing, and she allowed it. She sat back and allowed it. And it was because Christine was so, like she said in part one, obsessed with Cody and readjusting and rearranging her life for Cody that she would do anything to please him. Hence, sitting back and watching the puppet master manipulate the head wife. She, she, I'm so mad at Mary because she let this woman trick her out of her spot, and she allowed the pressure of Cody not loving her to trick her out of her spot. They did a number on these women, but now they don't want to talk about it. They want everybody to move on. They're gone. This is what Cody kept saying in part two. They're going. We need to move on. We need to move on. No, 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 no. We're not moving on. We need to find out what happened that imploded this family. That y'all been hiding and lying and putting up a fourth wall and telling us everything's fine. We're a family, and then poof, everybody's leaving. No, we need all the details. Y'all not gonna keep doing this to us and expect us to keep supporting y'all. If y'all don't give it up in these tell-alls, I'm not watching this shit. This is why I don't watch it because I'm so sick of Cody and Robin being allowed to sit in these tell-alls, get paid, and not answer a goddamn thing. The three sister wives need to make a stink and say, "Look, we giving it up in these interviews. We're giving it up in our one-on-ones. We're giving it up in our storylines. These two are not doing the same. They need not be paid the same because they're not cooperative." And then he did a stare off with poor Suki when she was asking him questions about his relationships and with Janelle and why he couldn't make it work and why he couldn't be friendly with Christine, and he's all like, it's personal. No, we need to know what you got no problem telling us anything else. Why can't you be friendly with this woman? He said that he made a comment that Christine would undermine the efforts to be friendly, to have a good relationship. And I believe that because Christine undermined Mary. In part one, Christine, when the conversation came up of Cody of why he wouldn't break up with Mary, and he was talking about he was afraid. They were looking back at what he said about he was afraid to leave Mary, and he was afraid of what she would do if he ripped the band-aid off. And Christine's mean ass gonna say, "Oh well, we never knew what kind of Mary we was gonna get, if she's gonna be good or not," and that's probably what he's talking about. And like, and then she tried to back up, peel back, and say, "Well, I don't want to throw her underneath the bus. She's made a lot of strides in life. She's a different person now. I don't want to do that." And it's like, Christine, you did throw her underneath the bus. And so then at the end of part two, because I don't want to give you everything, I want you to watch it if you didn't watch it. At the end of part two, we see Mary saying, but you know what? Let me talk about Mary. Mary still doesn't like Christine. She doesn't like Christine. She doesn't trust Christine. And I don't blame her. Christine's two faced because we got to see it. She talks out of both sides of her mouth. She sits here and says she was champion Janelle in that clip. I'm sorry, not Janelle. Champion and Mary in that clip and trying to, edge her on to believe there's better on the other side. And Robin's face was so pissed when she saw that because she was like, this bitch took away my money. That's the way Robin was looking. And Mary was saying how she didn't trust Christine and that, they would need to do a lot of healing. And Mary has no interest in being friends with Christine because Christine talks so much shit on her. And it was nice to see Mary finally say, you know what? In that instance where she was talking about how like Cody was crying and whatnot, and she said, Suki, he doesn't get to dump his grief on me anymore. He doesn't get to do that anymore because of the way he's talked about me and told everybody how much he doesn't like me and how much he never loved me and wish he never married me. He doesn't get access to me like that anymore. And I was like, good for Mary, about fucking time. But the cliffhanger that I was about to say was Mary was like how she was saying like, what is Christine doing talking about Cody with her husband? And it's like, Jeanette, I'm sorry, Mary, we are in on a show, and the husband's down a part of it. He's going to hear her talking about her past because the husband has not been here long enough for us to have a storyline for the new husband. So she has to talk about her past. She needs a storyline. So she has to talk about Cody. That's just the name of the game. Like, do we not know what business we're in? Like, come on, Mary, get off your high horse. Here you go. Just what it is. You're mad. You're still mad at. You're still mad at Christine. You have rights for Christine to be mad at Christine because Christine told all Mary's tea about the melting down the ring. And I would have loved for Christine to tell us more of the more humiliating things that Cody did to her. Instead of telling Mary's tea, tell your own tea, Christine, since you got your mouth all up and everything. Anyway, y'all, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you leave 5-star rating. Y'all have a good night.